she brought it up. And then when I kind of expressed myself, I said, why am I going to keep not expressing my truth or how I am?
Good.
She freaked and she was just like, you're like a racist, misogynist. And this person has known me for 20 years. And I was just like, oh my gosh. And I had to leave. And
Yeah.
it's just really, really hard. It's just definitely you have to tread lightly. Um, and I guess that's the other thing. Like, if I'm going to honor myself, I also think it's fair and valid for me to express myself. But I find that around me, a lot of people don't appreciate my feelings or my opinions.
And that's okay. That's okay. Again, it's like to feel safe enough where maybe they're not, you know what I mean? And that's not your problem. That's like that's their thing if they can, and I agree with you though. Like it is important, we live in this world, I think, where like social media where everyone's sharing opinions but it becomes very like what you're saying, like very like fake almost, of like and I like it was actually a very special thing on this. Like I was on this bus and I sat next to this person who had like such different perspectives of me. And I was like, and I was able to come, I'm like, wow, I hear you. I'm listening, like I'm with you. And I don't agree, like I don't really agree. I have my opinion and like and I said to her, like she was starting to fight back at me, and I was like, whoa, like that's, why do we have to fight about it? I'm like, you're you and I'm me, and let's respect that, like I held that space for her. But it's a very hard space to be. I hear you. I hear you.
It's so interesting because I just feel inside myself, and maybe I have shifted a lot in the last 5 years, to be honest. Everyone is just on a different journey and we're just experiencing things differently. And that's part of where our perspectives come in. It's part of what we're meant to learn in different ways. So I don't really, I actually have really sort of a hard time with right and wrong. Or like you were saying, even black and white, because I do see, the subtleties of why people think and feel the way that they do. It's just upsetting to me that I'm willing to honor those people and then they're not willing to honor me in the same way. That's just what I find is very difficult. And maybe it's the same in Israel, but in America right now, it's still, even with the election changing and whatever anybody feels about that, it's raw. People are on edge.
Wow. Wow. I hear you. That's a very challenging place to be. And good for you, and like, listen, again, those are people you just have to put boundaries around of like people that really don't honor you as a person and allow you to respect your opinion and your perspective. Like those are people really to put boundaries around. Like those are not people that, energetically are healthy for us in our lives. So I hear you.
Marcy, I will have to tell you that we support you all the way, and I have started to put boundaries around people and not even enter into discussions with these people anymore because they are so wound up and so insanely single-sided that I started cutting people off that I don't need it. I just really honestly don't have the energy nor the wherewithal to be able to listen to their crap. And I start to say, I listen to it and in the past I would have been a little bit more understanding and saying that, you know, everybody has their opinion, but frankly, um I've I've stopped when people pull that kind of stuff, which you just experienced. I just say, you know what? That's an indicator to me that I don't need to deal with you. I'm done. And
Absolutely.
I've lost friendships that people who I've known from high school that I don't have anything to do with anymore because that's frankly it's too much for me. Just really too much for me.
No, thank you for that. I appreciate that. I mean, I'm in New York and you're in LA, and my son goes to UCLA, and we got him home from, the fires. And he always tells us, he has a hard time in LA with the way that people think. And I think it's equally hard here in New York. It's just a certain,
It's really hard, and we're in Orange County, so we're not in that ultra, super um, liberal space that he is in. My daughter and son and my son-in-law are in LA, but it's hard, and I honestly, they throw tantrums and they call names and do all that kind of stuff without really considering any of the positions or any of the, and even people who are super intelligent, they have been so politicized that they can't even use their own brains to come up with answers that are because of how they've been wound up. And it's very frustrating. So anyway.
Yeah, well, thank you for sharing that. I appreciate it.
Shannon, what would you please share? Yeah.
Yeah, I have a similar experience to both of you. It's I really don't, especially since COVID, I learned to keep my mouth shut. So I'm like, I don't want to end up with no friends. And sorry, my cat is like putting his foot across the screen. Um, and I got ostracized for a little bit over some subjects I won't go into, but I was just like, you know what? I'm just gonna I think sometimes you just have to let these things ride out for a while because people get a little crazy and they can't see where they're being on one side or the other, and they just follow the rhetoric and they're just like, I'm going to be hardline this way. So I'm waiting. I mean, with this election, it's like back to the crazy, um, but I tend to be like a very diplomatic person anyway. I see both sides of most issues. Um, so I can, so I tend to end up feeling a little fake because people sometimes think that I'm on, I like have the same opinion as them because I can see their opinion and I can empathize and relate on some level, but my core being is like, I don't believe that. But I won't always express it because this, especially right now, it's just you just get reamed and, you know, chopped up and people won't talk to you and they just think you're horrible just because you have one particular opinion. Um, and that means that you must believe all these other opinions. It's like, no, I just have this one opinion over here, but they don't listen. So it's, I don't know how to navigate that either. But I kind of look at it as just like a big play. Like everybody's kind of going crazy and they're playing their parts in this giant play. And it's like, all right, I'm just going to stand on the sidelines over here and watch because it doesn't, on some level, that doesn't really matter. It's just, it's just one part of a play that's going on. It's like, okay, we'll do this for a little while. um, but it is hard when you get, you know, uh, I don't feel like there's a lot of people that are particularly like me as a whole. Like, I feel like I probably have different opinions than some of you here that you'd think, oh, she believes that. It's like, well, yeah. So, I don't fit in a lot of places, but I fit in the most here. But still, there's a little piece that's like, not quite. I still have different opinions about, 10, 15%. So
Right.
it's
Wow.
lonely, but I just have compassion for people and where they are, I guess, is one of the keys. Anyway,
Yeah.
I'll stop.
And people that are holding in that place, like what you're saying, to have compassion for them, they're very fragmented people themselves. They're very broken. There's a lot of trauma. Like you don't become that way just from being, like a functional member of society, and like again, but at the same time, compassion doesn't mean that we have to like be now friends with them and have them, vomit all over us and leak their energy all over us. It's like we have to put boundaries with those people as well. Like that's 100% true. It doesn't negate the fact that, clearly most of these people are not well, and clearly they're very fragmented and they have a lot of trauma that causes them to act out that way. But we have to have boundaries around those people because again, we have a limited amount of energy. I kind of like something really been hitting me a lot, like is like really where I direct my energy. We have just like to really not scatter our energy and waste our energy and leak our energy all over, but it's like to really preserve our energy for what we need to preserve it for. And compassion doesn't mean losing our, like, feeling bad for people and like, oh, look what they must have gone through to be like that. It's like, it's preserving ourselves is the first most important thing. Absolutely. So I'm definitely in agreement with that. What Jane was saying, Marcy was like, just certain people we have to just, that's it, like have those boundaries with. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Can I ask a
Yeah,
very
sure.
practical
Yeah,
question?
sure. Sure.
Especially when you talk about someone who has a complete opposite perspective, not like a different opinion, an opposite perspective as you. And like, especially now, there's the new trend going around. We listen and we don't judge. Like everyone's got, like, there's the new trend. And like, I spoke with a few people about it, and I said, like, we don't listen and we judge. Everyone judges. It's impossible not to judge. Like, this is the brain. Like, we judge. Depends is how, like, how strong you judge and what does it make to your opinion. So now when I talk to someone, let's say I listen to this person, even I listen to this person, I still have this inside, I still have this fight mode, for example. Let's say I want to change it. How do I change it practically? Because saying to myself, I don't have it, I do have it.
Absolutely. Yes. Yeah, that's a great question. We're actually